So Paul and Catherine, thank you for having me in your apartment.
That's all right.
I feel very lucky. It's nice and homely, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's lovely. We thoroughly enjoy living here. It's great, really good.
Now, before we get into the flat, let's just kind of step back a little bit. Where did you live before, and what sort of property did you live in?
We lived in a place called Polwarth, which is maybe about 10-15 minutes from here, walking distance, and originally it was a hotel that was converted, a Victorian hotel that was converted into flats. So we bought, that was a conversion, and we bought that after it was done, and we're there for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already lived in an old converted property.
Yes.
Is that something you quite like?
I think you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Everything's modern, modernly done, but with the old features.
Yeah.
You've got that history as well, haven't you, I suppose, with an old building?
Yes.
So do you think the fact that you lived in a converted old building before helped you to decide to live at Donaldson's?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but and combined with that, I actually had worked here.
Did you?
Yes.
Doing what?
Well, I presently work with deaf and hard of hearing people, and I've done that for, dare I say, 30 years now. So I initially came in the building when I worked in social work with what was known as the Edinburgh Deaf Society years ago, who are now Deaf Action. So I would come in and see the kids and work with the teachers and the head teacher, etc., here in the building. And I've always had such a fondness for the building. There's always been such a warm feeling about Donaldson's. And then I've left Edinburgh, I've travelled, been whatever, and I've come back and I've worked at Deaf Action on and off over the years. And obviously when Donaldson's was up for sale, and there was no longer that link, I always kept my eye out thinking, who's bought it, what's going to happen to it? And as Paul and I, when we were at Polwarth, we were thinking about downsizing, wasn't sure, weren't ready to jump at all, because we'd been in the present property for about 7 or 8 years, quite happy there, loved the old building, etc. But then we heard and saw that Donaldson's was now on the market for the apartments, the show homes and whatever. So we thought, let's contact Donaldson's and come and see it. Mostly out of curiosity, because I had, as I say, had such an affinity for the building, such a feeling, such a warmth for the building. So it was really nice. I wanted to come and see it.
And why did the building feel so warm back in the day before it was converted?
I don't know. I think it was to do with just the staff that were here, the people that were in the building. It was just a lovely place to be, and even just walking up the drive, it was always so impressive. You know, it was such an impressive building, and you sometimes it would just take your breath away. But coming in the building, it just felt, did I say, like home in one sense. It was a very, very homely, warm building.
And do you think, how would you compare that to now that it's been converted? That feeling that you had?
Oh, it's the same. It's absolutely the same. Yes, it feels a very, very safe, homely, warm place. I just love it here. In fact, dare I say, I actually prefer it because I actually live here now. It's part of, you know, it's my home, you know. But it's got such a, I don't know, what do you think? It's got such a
warmth and a presence.
Safety, safeness.
You have a look at it, and it's just a fantastic place. You know, with my job, I drive past Donaldson's every day. Practically without fail, and it doesn't, whether I'm coming east to west, west to east, you know, you just look at this building and it's utterly amazing. It's probably one, apart from maybe the castle, right enough, but it's probably one of the most iconic buildings in Edinburgh. It's absolute fantastic, and the amount of people that you see walking past, coming up the drive, taking pictures, and it still gets to me when you know, you're walking up the drive, whether you've been out or whatever, and you come up and you think, I actually live here. You know, that is the thing. I am actually, like, I suppose, part.
Just 1 second. So what effect has it had on you, really, kind of seeing the building from the outside? But you talked about driving past in your cab, but what's it like?
Oh, it's just so impressive. It's just a beautiful, beautiful building. You know, it's everything that you'd want in an old building. I think you just have to look at it, and it's just so massive. And you have a look at the foundations. Everything is so well built. You'll probably never ever build anything like this again.
I think it's true.
You know, it's absolutely fantastic.
And so, from a personal point of view, what does this place give you? And I'm thinking about kind of location and the geography of the place.
Well, it's so central. I mean, so central to the middle of Edinburgh, obviously. From getting from here into the middle of the town, walking, you could do it in 10-15 minutes. We've got the trams, Edinburgh trams. There's buses right outside the gate here. The railway station is literally a 5-minute walk away, and to get to the airport, you're 20 minutes or so, and there's the airport bus. So it's so central. So of an evening when we go out, when Paul's not working, you know, we can walk into town, especially on like a day like this. It's beautiful. Just walk into town, couple of drinks. There's no need to get a taxi.
You're a taxi driver. I love that.
No need to get a taxi back. We can walk, you know. So.
But also for me, whenever I come here, the fact that even though it's so close to town, but actually because you're surrounded by all the grounds, it doesn't feel like you're kind of right in the middle of the city where it might be too noisy or too bustling. It's a little haven, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Paul's already said, you know, you've got the best of both worlds in that you are very close to the city centre and everything's so accessible, but actually you're so far back, and it is like your own personal space. And because it was a couple of weekends ago, you'd come back from shift, and it was a lovely day like this, and we just went and sat out the front, and it was so quiet. It was just so quiet, irrespective of the buses and the traffic going past down there, and it was so quiet. And looking out onto the Pentland Hills, it was just lovely. And just round about, obviously the grounds, they're just beautiful. And there's obviously we've got seats and things in the middle of the quadrangle, but as well. So it's a very, very peaceful little oasis of tranquility, really, in the centre of Edinburgh.
When you sit out in the communal garden, do you just pretend it's yours and it's nobody else's? I definitely would. In fact, I'd just pretend the whole building was mine and there was no other apartments in here, to be honest. But seriously, though, that's a kind of, you must do when you sit out there.
Absolutely.
That's your garden.
I know, that's it. I know.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny. It was one morning when I was walking down the drive to work, and there was a woman came up and she's, could you take my picture in front of the building? And I said, yeah, of course. So I took the picture. She says, do you live here? Is that yours? And I said, yeah.
All of it. Can you believe that you live in a building like this?
No.
Just
looking at the building and seeing we as a couple live here, and the building, I think, actually speaks to you as well when you look at it.
Yeah.
With the history it's got, from walking up the drive into the main hall on the ground floor that it's got there, absolute fantastic, and then making your way through the building and then eventually coming to your home.
Do you feel quite posh?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The poshest we've been.
I love that. And why not? Because it is so grand, though, isn't it? Come on, it's not a humble building.
Yes. It sometimes feels unbelievable. You know, sometimes do I really actually live here? Because I think we've both said we've always felt really lucky to have been able to move to a building like this, and this is to be our home, you know, as well. So yeah, we do feel quite posh. Yeah.
Love that. And what about the apartment itself? I mean, obviously there's lots of options open to you when you're buying something at an early stage of a development like this. Why did you go for this particular one?
I think first and foremost, we've always, where we've lived before, it's always been light apartments, or, you know, houses where there's been a lot of light. And as soon as we walked in here, we were impressed with the light as soon as we, you know, and obviously being at the front of the building, plus the views. I mean, we just loved the fact we were going to be looking out at the Pentlands, and actually a wee quirky thing is they can actually see where we got married as well, and we can actually see where we used to live and things. So we've got the lovely views of the Pentlands, as well as attachments to certain parts of Edinburgh. But I think the fact that it was so bright and spacious, because as soon as we walked in here, we just thought we have to move.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon
Was
as we
it that
walked
quick,
in,
really?
It was
Yeah.
that quick.
And
it
we
was
weren't
that quick.
And we weren't actually looking to move as such.
As quickly as we did either. No, I know. We just
Why
thought-
did you fall in love with it as soon as you walked in?
Well, I think, without speaking on behalf of Paul, but I think because I had been in the building before, so I had a rough idea what it was like inside. Obviously, not to the effect that it's actually been done. But I think when Paul came in, he was like, wow. And I was still thinking, wow, myself. But I think it was just, I don't know,
I think it's more what city and country have actually done and how they've developed, which would have been classrooms, I presume, and what they've done to it. Absolute amazing job and how they've utilised the space. And with there being the two of us, this apartment's ideal.
But you've gone for a mezzanine apartment, which is quite unique, quite unusual. You've got to kind of live in a slightly different way, haven't you? You've got to think about how you use the spaces. Why did you go for a mezzanine apartment?
Well, I think we've probably got the best of both worlds. We've got an area down here that we can sit, and upstairs on the mezzanine, we've got a bed settee which we can use for upstairs for having drinks at night, or if we've got people staying, we can use it as a bedroom, and so that's like another room basically. We can have dual use out of the room, but with the mezzanine at night or during the day, you still get all the light coming over as well from our ground floor but up to our mezzanine deck.
So you kind of use it as an additional living space, second bedroom.
Yes, because I think where we were before, we had 3 bedrooms, and like Paul and I have lived elsewhere, not just in Edinburgh, and a lot of our friends are scattered in other places, but most of our friends and family are based in Edinburgh or live in Edinburgh. So we were finding our 3rd bedroom in our last apartment was redundant. It was never used. Well, say it was redundant, it was full of junk.
Stuff.
Stuff. So when we were looking to downsize, we thought we don't need an apartment as big as we were in. So when we looked at the mezzanine, this flat, we thought, well, why not? Because most of our friends and family do tend to either go home and use a taxi service to get home, or I find out is most people like their own space, so we'll go and book a hotel or whatever locally. So we actually felt it was ideal for our lifestyle and how we live, and our friends and family who are socially in and out of our lives. So we just feel we needed that extra room, if you like, and the fact that it was so open plan, and I think looking over it, just something just resonated with us, didn't it?
I suppose it's the difference between having an extra room but having more space. You didn't need an extra room, but you still wanted beautiful space and high quality space. So you can still use that as a guest bedroom and sleepovers, but also using it in a slightly more multifunctional way of saying, well, it can be anything. You can put a desk up there, you can have an extra living area up there, whatever you like, really.
Yes, absolutely.
It's quite nice. So it's got a bit of flexibility to it.
Definitely.
Yes.
It's interesting looking at a property in a way where you talk about space rather than rooms, which is probably you've never really mentioned rooms in this place, but you've talked about rooms a lot in your last flat.
That's right. Yeah.
Haven't you? You were saying, 3 bedrooms. It's all about rooms, but here you talk about space and light.
That's right. Yes.
Interesting, that.
And I think one of the key things is that even although, let's say this is smaller floor space, it does not. You just don't feel hemmed in here at all. It actually feels probably more spacious than when we were in our last property, because everything in our last properties, it was rooms and it was all cordoned off like a traditional flat would be. Whereas this feels much more light and airy and spacious. as
That's
well.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So you had a bigger flat
Yes.
with more rooms
Yes.
and
Yes.
3 bedrooms,
Yes.
but this one feels more spacious than your previous flat.
Yes,
Definitely.
absolutely.
So it's about the quality of space, not the amount.
Yes,
Yes.
Necessarily.
Absolutely, yes.
That's really interesting. But you're brave to go for a mezzanine flat. I mean, I love them.
yeah,
I think mezzanines are absolutely fantastic, and the beauty of it is you've got all of this wonderful double height space,
Yes.
but you've still got functional floor area up there. You haven't compromised on this at all. If that went all the way through,
Yes.
it'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. It would cut out. It would definitely cut out the light. You know, you wouldn't have the same light coming in. No.
So what's it like living here? Come on. Just overall, what's it like living here? You've been here for how long now?
Gosh, that was September, so 8 months.
8 months.
Is it 8 months?
So you're 8 months
Yeah.
in your new home.
Yeah.
What does it feel like?
You know, it's funny. I actually feel I'm on holiday every day. It feels got that sort of feeling. It just doesn't feel like. Well, it feels like I'm coming home, but it just, I don't know. It just feels so much lighter, doesn't it? Than
It's a wonderful place to live in. Just count yourself lucky that you live here, you know, in such a beautiful apartment. It's fantastic.
And I don't think as many people can say that every day, and I don't think I think this will always be to a certain degree, every day coming home, where you live is so breathtaking. You know, coming up that drive every day, it never fails to amaze me. And the amount of pictures I've got on my iPhone of this building. You know,
I love it. All your friends and family must be like, she's sending another image of a house again. Another one. She's just going to have to stop.
I mean, sometimes with the weather changing, it's quite nice, the sunset or the moon.
Oh,
and then-
so you're doing seasonal shots, and one's in the morning, one's at night. Crikey. I'm not giving you my number. No, I'm joking. But that's lovely though, isn't it? That's how proud you are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If there was one word, this is quite a hard question. If there was one word that you would use to describe being here in your home, in this wonderful building with these lovely grounds, what would it be?
I would say breathtaking.
I would say amazing.
That's the right word. I use that all the time. Lovely that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on your new home.
Thank you.
It's lovely, and you've made it really homely as well.
Thank you.
Really, really homely. Really beautiful, actually.
Thanks very much.
Look at you, I'm jealous now. I have to buy a flat.